Hello and welcome back to the Political Storm. I'm your host, Sean Storm. I decided today that in honor of the way that our political leaders have decided to treat the federal government like a giant school ground in the way they communicate with each other, the barbs, the infighting, the back and forth, things of that sort, that it would be only fitting to describe why third parties have such a hard time getting anywhere in this country in the same terms. So let's look at it from the standpoint of an election happening in a school, say a middle school or high school. And you have the two popular kids. For this example, let's say that it's happening in two separate classrooms where candidates are for school president or class president are being presented. They have to be voted by their classmates and then voted by the entire senior class for the final one. So, why do third parties have such a hard time? Well, let's say that we have the two popular kids. One's a jock, the other one is Miss Popular in two separate classrooms. And then you have their cronies behind them that are trying to run for the same office. So there would be your contention between the two major parties for primaries happening there. But then you have in each class, in one you have the individual that works in the AV club, is known by everybody, is pretty well liked, but is the go-to guy for help with technical things, but not who you would want to necessarily listen to for life advice and things of that sort. Definitely not the life of the party type situation. And the other one is your classic goth individual, dresses all in black, thinks that their soul is dead and they're deep and all that fun stuff. So here you've got, say, in one class, 5 people that are in the popular group and your goth person in the other class. You have 4 people that are part of the athletics clubs and things like that, and your AV club guy. So the school then decides, well, you know what, we're going to give a little bit of background about everybody. And when they're discussing the people that are in the athletics or that are popular in school, it's always Miss Cindy so-and-so, as you know, she's been, and they actually give highlights of her life, her time in school, and things of that sort, and what she wants to see happen for the school and for the class and that type of thing. They promise to allow each candidate to also give their opinions a bit later in a big debate. Well, then we get to the AV club guy, and they're introduced as, now here's that guy everybody knows and loves that can blah, blah, blah and help you out and blah, blah, blah. But don't forget, he also trips over his shoes. And that's how he's presented, almost as an afterthought and a joke. Then the goth individual, and from the dark corner comes so-and-so, who, you know, they're not treated seriously. Now, in that respect, think about your own opinion. What do you know of the Libertarian Party? Before I did research, I thought that they wanted to legalize everything. If it's not listed in the Constitution, it shouldn't be a law against it. So they wanted to legalize all drugs, which there are some in that party that do. I personally think that party goes too far. They don't believe that the federal government should truly take care of citizens. That should happen on a community level. And to some extent, I agree with that and respect that, but it offsets the understanding of the phrase for the common good of the country, and also the whole aspect of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Well, if somebody can't get health care, if somebody can't eat, that's not giving them an opportunity at life. So there is some federal responsibility even mentioned in the Constitution, just not specifics. As was stated in history several times before, if the Founding Fathers listed literally everything that should be a right or everything that should be a responsibility, then people would play the game that we're running into now of, well, it's not listed there, so obviously. And that's what we have. But going back to the whole example I'm giving, the two individuals aren't treated seriously. They're treated literally as an afterthought or a joke, which is what third parties run into when it comes to the media. You will almost always see that the Republican and Democrat representatives, and it depends on state as to whether it's a red state or a blue state or mixed, as to which one is presented first, if you pay attention. But you will very, very rarely see that the third party candidate or the independent candidate is listed first. Not just that, but that they are often listed as almost a joke. I remember when I first moved to Montana and we had our first vote, there was a gentleman that was running for, it was for a city of Helena council position, and the Republican was there in his suit. The Democrat representative in her interview was wearing a beautiful blue dress suit, and then the Libertarian wore khaki pants, a flannel shirt, untucked, had a long ponytail. So it kind of also is the fault of the parties themselves for the candidates they put forward. They're not, since I think they have kind of given up to some degree, that they don't feel that they're going to be taken seriously, so why bother? And if that's the case, then it makes sense that they're treated that way. But if a true, serious candidate comes forward, they should be treated seriously. If they have a true platform, they should be treated seriously. Okay, so we talked about how they're presented kind of through the media in this example, through the announcements at the school. So let's move on to the actual primary aspect. Well, here you got these group of kids, and the teachers all think, well, you know what, we should give the unpopular ones an opportunity too. So almost a pity type thing. So they don't even give a vote in the classroom for them. They're going to automatically go on to the debate, supposedly. So let's hold on there with the two, the AV guy and the goth. And so the major thing happens in the classroom. The AV kid and the goth don't even get to speak in front of their individual classroom to state what their thoughts are, what they hope to accomplish, and things like that. And they're already treated as a joke by the school itself, where all the jocks and all the popular kids each get to stand in front of their classmates. So their message is being heard. They're being able to give specifics, where the two other candidates are having to go individual to individual and hope by word of mouth that what they present is going to be heard. But they're hopeful because they're also told, well, don't worry about it. You're going to be definitely in the big debate. So they pick the captain of the football team, and they pick Miss Susie Q, who happened to be the queen of the prom as well, or junior prom, I should say, the year before, as the candidates from the two classrooms. So now we're coming up on the big debate. But wait, because the friends of the jock and the friends of the prom queen sit there and throw a fit with the school, going, well, these two didn't even have to try to convince anybody that they should go to the big debate. So we need to put rules in place for them to even qualify for the debate. So the school gets to thinking about it, like, okay, tell you what, we'll have both of them have to convince at least, in each classroom, there are 45 students. So that's a total of 90 students. And they say, you know what, let's tell them they have to get 10 students from each class to say they would vote for them before they can get up on stage. Now, I don't know about you, but how does that seem fair exactly? Yes, they got to skip the primary part of it because they weren't part of the group that was really fighting off against each other. But now they have to get pre-votes to qualify to even still, because they haven't been able to yet, still have a right or ability to speak to the mass of classmates. And on top of that, they have to not only get convince the people in their own classroom, they also have to go to the other classroom for to convince 10 people out of there as well. So we've got that aspect on there. Now, this is because of the Presidential Debate Committee that is it's literally a committee that is formed of Republicans and Democrats deciding the rules for the debate and what it takes to qualify for them. This is what they've done with requiring candidates to have so many in a poll saying they would vote for them. And at this point, I believe it's right now at 18%, where it used to be around 13%. But when Ross Perot was able to exceed that 13% pretty easily, they set that goal just above what he hit because it was the highest that any third-party candidate had ever had. And no third-party candidate has ever reached that goal again. On top of that, it also matches with the states. Because you're not a major party, you're not normally on the ballot, you have to go out and get signatures from ex-citizens saying, yes, I want to see this person on the ballot, and yes, I'm more than likely going to vote for them in the election. Here in my home state of Montana, we require 5% of the last winner's votes. So if a candidate won with 200,000, I have to get 10,000 votes just to get on the ballot. And I don't know about you, but that is kind of hard to surmount without a group of people backing you to help you to begin with. Now, on top of that, let's say that when in this high school, this class, they have set up a reward system where if you're recognized for things that you've done throughout your 4 years in high school, you win, quote-unquote, award points. Let's call it high school bucks. No monetary value, anything like that. They could spend them on this and spend them on that, but they keep a record of how much they've gained through their high school career. And of course, the jock is in sports. He's out front. He's recognized. He's seen all the time. So he gets a whole bunch of points. Now, let's say that you can, for the purpose of this election, get points from other people that have them and have them added to your points. You can have those bucks added to your bucks. So those would be donations and things of that sort. Well, now the popular kids are going, wait, I know that you put this rule on there that students had to have get 10 votes and such from each class, and these two have done it. So right now they're qualifying. But showing that we want to be part of the community and everything, shouldn't they have to have, so shouldn't whoever's going to be up there have to have so many bucks, say 250 bucks, school bucks, in order to be up on stage to talk to the school? Oh, that's a good idea. And that's where you run into the war chest. What a war chest is the funds a candidate has at a point in their campaign to run that campaign. That means for ads, for travel, paying for staff, for the sites that they're renting out to hold their events and things of that sort. And this is also another way that the parties themselves actually contribute or limit the fields in the races that they're holding. They will beforehand, before that war chest is even necessary, start dumping money into the candidate's war chest. So they have an advantage over top of people within their own parties. This leads to what I call, and is commonly known as, the illusion of choice. You think that the Republican Party is, because they have 5 different candidates in front of you, is going to be, it's fair, that it's because they're the same party, that the party's just like, well, let's see who people favor. It doesn't work that way. The party favors somebody already, and they're dumping money into that person. So that's why you're seeing more and more and more ads from that particular candidate over top of the others, unless they're independently wealthy and can combat it. So you're running into the same thing here. Now they're saying that, okay, if for you guys, even though we told you were going to be in the debates, well, you now have to get 20 people saying that they're going to vote for them, 10 from each class, which the others didn't require. But they got to debate, so they got to go against other people that were running against it, just not you. And now you also have to have at least 250 of these school bucks in there. Oh, Tommy, you only have 98. We know that you've done a lot for AV and such, but it's always been behind the scenes, and the awards and those bucks always went to the people performing in front of the camera and such. And the goth individual. Well, you got 8. So unless you can find a bunch of people that are willing to give you their bucks, I'm sorry, you're out of luck. And now they're not even able to give their views and their plans, their goals to anyone. That's what's been happening in elections now for a very, very long time. You don't truly get a full choice. Yeah, you get to hear from the third-party candidates, maybe a blurb on the local channels. If they get a decent movement going, you might hear from them on national news every once in a while. But mostly it's online and through individual events and things of that sort. They don't get the same national voice. And they certainly don't get into the national debates anymore. That is what is happening, what has been happening. And that is why we've run into this two-party system for so long. Third parties aren't taken seriously. Third parties don't get their message out to the people of what they represent and what they want to do. Well, that's going to be it for today's Political Storm. I appreciate you being here with me. I hope that you continue to watch for future episodes and such. Have not quite decided what our next one's going to be about, but I guarantee you that it's going to be interesting, and I look forward to talking to you again. Thank you.